Welcome back to the Pool Podcast. Today we have the wonderful Iris Arbel. For those of you who may or may not have seen her around the pool, she's actually the powerhouse behind our wonderful cafeteria. Her company, Saboris, is now making sure all of our pool members and guests are very well fed, focusing very much on a high nutritional and overall healthy, balanced diet, and most importantly, extremely tasty food. So without further ado, I want to introduce Iris.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you very much. Very happy to be here today.
I would love to know more about you and your journey and how you ended up in Marbella. If you could share that with us, that would be great.
Well, it's a long story, but not very different from many others who are here. Actually, we came to Marbella in 2012, 13 years ago, for vacation. And we are still here, like many others. But my story actually, what I'm doing now is my fourth career because I studied economics and I have MBA, and I started my career as a strategic consultant. And then I joined the Ministry of Economy, and I was sent to China as a commercial counselor. So I worked
How
at the
was
Israeli.
that?
Yeah, it was actually very interesting at that
Okay.
time. It was in 2004. The position of government official in China was very instrumental in helping companies doing
You were
business
sort of
there.
Diplomat status?
Yes, diplomat, yeah, managing the economic department in the embassy. So,
Amazing.
yeah, it was very interesting. And then I was offered a position of a CEO in just a newly established water investment company. It was in 2007. We just started few people, and then the company developed in 12 projects all over China, 400 employees.
In the span of how many years?
I was actually quite young when I started this position. I was 30 years old, white woman in China managing many, mostly male organizations. So it was quite an
It was already a challenge in itself, but then imagine the language barrier, the culture.
Yeah, the cultural barrier, yes. I have many stories from that period. And one day when I have time, I will sit down, maybe write a book about it, because really it was a really interesting journey. A very, very demanding job.
But it worked out in the end, right? I mean,
It worked out. It worked out after 5 years, and after our children were born. And that time it was very heavy pollution in China. And we made not a professional, but a personal decision that it's time to leave China.
Yes.
And this is how we came to Marbella for a long vacation. And because it's 180 degrees from China,
Completely different type of
when our
life.
kids came to China, to Marbella, the first time they saw birds, the first time they saw cats or stars in the sky. Oh, mommy, look, there are stars in the sky.
It's crazy. We don't really know how. I mean, we hear things. If you've never visited China, you would never know how bad the pollution is there.
Now, actually, I understand it's better, but at that time it was really, really bad.
Before we jump to the Marbella part, I want to know a little bit about the achievements that you managed to get in China before, before leaving that place with,
Yeah. Well, the achievements in 2010, I was chosen the businesswoman of the year by EY in China. Yes, being a CEO of a water investment company. And again, I wouldn't say rivals, but people at the same position were Chinese men predominantly, yes.
Older.
Every time I would go on stage, I would be the only woman. But actually, it was also an advantage, because when you have a meeting with a Beijing mayor and only men are sitting around the table, only one woman, so naturally it attracts attention.
The focus was on you.
Yeah, yes.
So you naturally didn't have to compete too hard because...
well, I had to prove, that I'm worthy of this position, and it was
It paid off, right?
Yes.
Winning that kind of award is prestigious.
Yes.
You were 30 years old?
At that time, yes, 32, 33.
That's amazing.
Yes.
It's quite an achievement.
But it was these years, the 5 years I was the CEO of Cardano Water, were super demanding. Actually, I barely remember it because it was so intensive.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, but it was quite
something that you can still
amazing
look back
journey. Yeah, I look back and say, wow, I did it. And I also helped the shareholders at that time to sell this platform to the Chinese conglomerate a few years after. Yes, so it was...
So yourself and your husband, you guys integrated well into the culture in China, or was it difficult at first? Or
Well, I think we as foreigners could not fully integrate, right? Of course, we have Chinese colleagues and we have Chinese friends, and we love China. We are, we're very grateful for the time we had there, professionally and personally. But I don't think you can really fully integrate unless you are maybe married to a
Chinese, of
Chinese.
course.
Yes.
I mean, take that now to a different continent. You're in a new country, in a new area that you've never lived in before. How do you find the integration process here in Marbella, for example?
Well, Marbella is totally different story. Marbella, I think it's very unique comparing to any other place in Spain. It's
International.
It's
Well,
very international. Everyone is welcome. People are very friendly. You can always find your circle, and I think the amount of interesting people that I've seen here, I haven't seen in any other place.
in like a concentrated area, right?
Concentrated with amazing life stories and people that come from Zimbabwe, from India, from Kazakhstan,
corners of the
from
world.
all corners of the. Yeah, it's amazing.
And obviously for your kids, it must have been, I'm sure you and your husband must have felt that it was the right decision to be able to put them in such an international place.
This was our major consideration. This is actually the reason why we stayed in Marbella, because we wanted our kids to live and to grow up in an environment which is international, that they are colorblind, they're religion blind, that they are open-minded to everyone, so this is, and the quality of education here is really good, and we are very grateful, that
I mean, you have 3 kids?
yeah, I have 3 kids.
One is now on the way to university?
Yes, university in the US,
And that's going to be a hard adjustment to say goodbye.
absolutely,
but
absolutely.
He's very excited, right? He's doing...
Yeah, he will be studying economics and physics.
Following his
Yes,
footsteps.
following his mother footsteps. Yes, absolutely. I'm very happy that this is the path he has chosen.
I've had the pleasure of speaking with Yuval many times. He's an extremely talented and bright kid, and he's got a great future ahead of him. And of course, with very supportive parents, could ask more, right?
Yes,
I
yeah, we are
want to
very
know. I mean,
lucky.
obviously, your other 2 kids are teenagers now.
They will be 16. Maya and Stav, my daughter, she plans to study medicine.
Amazing.
She's also very studious, and also Stav, he plans to study business and economics like his old brother. He's very passionate about these topics. So yes, and in Marbella, actually, our concern was, what to do here with the teenagers, because it's a great place for small kids. They have such great schools and sport facilities, but what to do with the teenagers? But now with 3 teenagers, I see that it's absolutely possible to raise them in Marbella, to be kids with values, with motivation, with purpose in life. So it's doable.
I mean, you can see that with, how Yuval took the reins on the pool of talent,
Yes.
which is something incredible that I wish was around when I was growing up here. And more importantly, the cafeteria,
Yeah,
the
it's cool, the
focusing on the
yeah.
health and
Yes.
that's amazing. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I think my character is also identifying a need or an opportunity and see, okay, how I can help, how I can change that. So this is what happens with food, with schools lunches. When my kids came back home, complaining, oh, we just ate bread, I say, okay, what I can do about it. And I was always passionate about food. For me, it was never a problem to cook for a big group of people. And I was also very minded about the nutrition of my children.
You always did this for the love of it, right? You never thought about it.
For the love of it, for the passion of it, because I really love it. I like hosting people. I like actually seeing people enjoy food. I don't know.
It's one of the small pleasures in life,
Yes,
when you cook something for a group or a few people and there's silence on the table, everyone's enjoying it, savoring it.
And our happiest moments in life always revolve around food, right? So
100%.
So I thought that also building communities around food. So first started with school and seeing the children eating healthy and nutritious lunches, and for the first time experiencing vegetables that they haven't tried at home, and starting eating at school. For me, it's an immense satisfaction.
some of our members here, their kids go to these schools where the cafeteria is in place, and they even say to me, sometimes I go for lunch there as well. So obviously you coming here now and opening your operation here at the pool is incredible for us. I mean, I am trying not to be biased here, but the food that we get to enjoy, that you prepare for us and that you think about and you carefully, portion well, it's so tasty. It's things that we probably, like you said, we don't probably cook ourselves, or we don't think to make for ourselves, and to have the opportunity to have it in a meal, it's great. I think a lot of people should come and try the food here because it's delicious.
Thank you so much. And this is actually the purpose, that's everyday life, whether we are at school as students, or we're in the office, or we are in the university. We need food that will nurture us, that will enable us to continue our day efficiently, that our brain will be sharp, and not being sleepy, and being tired.
Carbs,
Too many carbs.
A good balance.
To give us energy, and micronutrients to continue the day. So this is the focus.
So you started off earlier telling me that this was like the fourth stage of your career.
Yeah.
Did we skip 2 over there from what you did in China to what you were doing?
Yes, so strategic consultant, then a diplomat, then the CEO of water investment company. Then after that, I was bringing companies to China, establishing platform, a local platform for them in China. And then the latest stage was taking Chinese company outside of China and developing projects for them in infrastructure and energy outside of China. I also managed for 3 years an investment fund in Luxembourg, which was also a very interesting period of my life, working more with the Russian market, because I speak 5 languages. I speak Russian, Hebrew, English, Chinese, and partially Spanish. And
not that many.
Work in progress.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, that's also super handy. I mean, the types of languages that you speak do have a very big reach, and for the kind of businesses that you're into, that's very, very, very handy.
Yeah, it was handy, doing business in China and Russia at that time. So yes, it was a very interesting period. And now it's my 4th stage.
You also did some, if I'm not mistaken, you did teach economics as well a little bit here.
Yeah,
still do?
This is also, it's under the category not as passion, as a hobby, right?
Oh, okay.
Because talking about seeing the needs and then offering my help, my services. So when my son wanted to study economics, it was about 5 years ago. So at that time, there was no economic teacher at school. And I used to teach economics many years ago in the university. So I volunteered. I said, okay, I am ready to teach him and his friends
and that's more on a high school
to pass the GCC exam.
So someone with background in being able to teach it on a university level, doing it for high school, I mean, they get really great knowledge and they get really great experience from someone like yourself who's basically applied this in every career that you've done.
It's from real life experience.
That's
So I was touching with them also topics that not necessarily in their textbook, but giving them some angle on financial economics, and even how managing their own budget and how to be
this is so important. I mean, they don't teach
financially educated adult. So I still do it.
Great.
At school, and I love it. I think it's very important.
But the angle that you're focusing on economics is super important, because a lot of people, they have the textbook, they look at this, they look at that, but first of all, the real world experience, then trying to apply it to your own self, your own budget, your own, day to day. I think all of these things, and maybe even talking about the taxing and how it works.
Absolutely.
For you as an
What are
individual.
taxes? Differentiating between needs and wants, because understanding that wants are infinite and needs, right? We can control it. So for the children to understand, do I really need that? First asking the question, whether it's an asset, it's a liability. What does it mean, compound interest?
Shaping the mindset as well of how their relationship with money and and
this is very important.
The financial world is, because as a student, when you're 14 to 18, what do you really know about taxes? What do you know about how to manage your finances?
They don't, and the educational system doesn't teach you that, but this knowledge is very important. And
again, another thing, I really wish you would have been here X amount of years ago when I was studying here. I mean, these kinds of things are super helpful for any teenager, young adult going into the world. These are things you just don't get taught. And of course, we have the internet and we can research on things, but having
Yeah.
someone with real life experience as a teacher standing in front of you in your classroom, I think that's a lot more powerful than watching a YouTube video or a podcast or
Yeah.
something like this, you know?
I believe so, and also I think kids need to understand that they are often manipulated, by the social media, creating wants that are totally
False
but
beliefs,
yes,
yeah,
false.
yeah.
Yes, so they need to be minded to that, to this
Mo-
marketing manipulation.
False expectations,
Yeah.
People think, oh, I can be a YouTuber and I can be an influencer and I'm going to make X amount of money. And I'm like, well, some of these guys came at the right time. Some of these people, really blew up because they were in a position where there wasn't such let's say a variety.
Yeah.
And they came in at the right time and provided a need for a demand that there was. And that's why they are so successful now.
Yeah, but
And
now it's evolved. Now is there
Now
are
the
new,
competition is
yeah,
100x, and it's difficult.
it's saturated, and your chances of succeeding in this market are
Right.
very slim.
I mean,
Yeah.
again, I think it's incredible that you, as a parent, first of all, are able to share this knowledge with your kids, but now also have been able to share it with all the other kids who were in the classes. I think that's great. I'm sure a lot of parents are very grateful for you. On top of the food, changing the diet.
Well, I'm grateful for being given this opportunity, and I think it's important. I think it should be part of the curriculum.
I haven't known you long, but I always feel like every time we've talked about new projects or new ideas, you have been the kind of person that if it speaks to you, you're the first one in there, And I think it's great that you have these passions for things that are so relevant to everybody's lives, regardless of how old you are and what gender you are. Food is important, finance is important, but more importantly, the health and wellness aspect that you've been providing the pool in terms of the longevity vertical. I would love for you to tell me a little bit more about that as well. We're so grateful to have you on board and have you maybe not so much taking the stage right now, but you're definitely the big factor in why it's so successful. I mean, the menus that we have, the curation of it all, like it's definitely thanks to you, even though you don't want to take the credit for it.
Well, I was the initiator, and luckily now that when it's run by Paula, she is a fantastic professional, functional medicine expert. So we cooperate together on this initiative, and I think it's very important to this community because we are all here in Marbella because the life here is really good, right? We're here for a fantastic lifestyle, and well-being is an important part of our community here in the pool. So it was only natural to create this vertical of longevity and talking about things that we maybe in our busy schedule don't pay attention to it, but giving some useful tips that can change our routine, our habits just by a little bit,
day by day.
Yeah, day by day. So I think it's important.
I mean, all the events we've had so far for longevity, we've always had such great feedback from the guests. Everyone's always said the food was amazing. The speakers that you've curated or you've chosen have been incredible. And of course, having someone like Paula on board has been amazing for you as well.
Absolutely.
Similar values aligned. And more importantly, again, the events are very centric to things that are not talked about enough.
We just started this with Tell Paul. We just started, and we will now take a short break during the summer. But in September, we will
full force again,
and bringing topics that are relevant to everyone and giving value to our community by providing information that maybe not always available. Maybe it is available, but we don't pay attention to.
We don't know where to find
exactly. And whether this is not someone's interests, understand sometimes information is also manipulated, but who is providing this information?
This is true.
So I think in this regard, we built a very beautiful community of.
I agree,
and it's only growing.
So you have a very diverse and international background yourself. You speak 5 languages. You've lived in many places from one corner to the other. Do you think all of this has contributed and helped you harness your love for food and finding different flavors and different ingredients that maybe people don't necessarily think would go together? Because some of the food that I've tried here, I'm like, I would have these individually, but I'd never think about putting this
Fusion, yeah.
fusion together. It's amazing.
I think so. I think even unconsciously, the fact that I've traveled so much in my life influenced my food preferences and
Style.
and ideas, what ingredients can be fusioned, yeah, and creating different, dishes.
It seems to me it comes very natural to you when you have to prepare like a 3 or 4 course meal for a specific type of party or for a specific type of event. And, the way that you're able to just not only budget it well, but decide what's the most feasible or most convenient way if somebody's, having a coffee break or somebody's doing a standing event or people are doing a after work cocktail or even like a very high class lunch buffet. How long would you say it takes you to come up with the menu and
I love this part.
Yeah, that's your favorite?
Creativity. That's my favorite part because it's important for me to understand, first of all, who is the client.
Right.
What is the background?
Profile.
What the profile of the client? What they're expecting from this event? What is the purpose of the event? What is the budget? So there are many components that I need to take into account to tailor-made the menu that will reflect on the client and the purpose of his event. And yes, and I love this part.
Minus obviously dietary requirements and things like that. Helps for you to know what kind of business it is, for example, or what kind of age range it is. All of these things come into play, right?
Absolutely.
And for our members here at the pool, I mean, you've probably been getting quite a lot of feedback already. Everyone here seems extremely happy with the services and the food provided and the options. And I'm sure probably people have reached out to you as well to help them with things outside of the pool.
Yes.
And this is kind of what we're here for. The pool is a place where, of course, you are operating from here and from other places as well. But we want to be able to share the amazing food that you're making. But we also, we know you're just one person and you have a sort of small operation for now, but it's growing.
Yeah, we are growing. Actually, our company today, we are 15 people.
Amazing.
So, and we have few locations. And I'm always happy to hear feedback and what also can be done differently, giving us ideas. Okay, guys, you can do this or you can do that. And I think this is our strength and advantage, the flexibility that we have to adapt. And the service that we can provide, which is tailor-made, understanding our clients. So if anyone have any interesting ideas, please come forward and discuss it with me. And I'm always glad to hear.
I mean, this might sound a bit closed-minded, but normally if you associate someone who's got a background in economics and finance, you don't normally associate them with being super creative. So I love that you have been able to touch on all your strengths and your interests over your careers, focusing on the stuff that you're good at, strategic and logic, but then also applying creativity and expansion and all of these things that kind of make you, right?
Absolutely. And I think we are not defined by one thing that we do in life, right? So we can do many things and enjoy them equally. So, and I think also our kids, I tell them, okay, you are now choosing what to study, but just bear in mind that you are going to have not one career, but many careers.
More interests, more hobbies.
Nobody knows, which direction you will evolve. So you just need to be adaptive. You need to be creative. You're not afraid of taking risks, of making bold decisions, right? So I think this is the beauty of life. Our journey is full of surprises and positive, sometimes also negative changes. But
I think you're a perfect example of if you're able to stay adaptable to whatever life throws at you, good or bad, you're always going to make the best out of it and actually really enjoy it along the way.
Absolutely.
And your kids getting to grow up here, having the experience again from China to here. Where else have you lived other?
Well, I was born what today is Ukraine. At that time, it was USSR. So when my family left, it was still USSR. And then I basically grew up in Israel. And then when I was 27 years old, we moved to China. Yeah. So
like I said, it's such a diverse path around the world. And then both you and your husband sharing that knowledge with your kids and allowing them to keep that open-mindedness about the world and interests. I think that's amazing. And you said earlier, as teenagers, you weren't too sure what they'd be able to do here,
Yeah.
but you found that not to be the case, right?
Absolutely. And again, I think for people that contemplate whether it's a good place for teenagers, I think I tell them yes. It's everyone can find here their circle. This is the beauty of Marbella. You can always find your group of friends, your group of colleagues here, and your community, basically. And this is the beauty of the pool, because the pool is not only a co-working space or a business hub, it's a community. And one of the major consideration why we joined the pool, Saboris, is being part of this community. And it was a great decision.
And the community is so happy to have Saboris here, I can tell you that. More importantly, I think the sense of community, like you said, in my culture as well, everything is revolved around food.
Yeah.
Good, bad, and ugly, everything. Good things happen, celebrate with food. Bad things happen,
Exactly.
we'll deal with it with food.
Food is in every event, at every important, whether positive or negative, yeah.
And I think one thing, I've been at the pool now almost the whole time it's been open, and I think having you and Saboris on board, not just for the food, but also for what you bring to the table in terms of participating in longevity, and also maybe not running it, but definitely I can see you participating in the Women in Business vertical we're planning to do as well. You'd be an incredible person to have as a speaker to hear about your story, so we can talk about that in a little bit more detail. But having this not the platform, but a place, I suppose, where you said the community comes together.
Yeah.
Ideas are born, businesses are made, food is shared.
Yeah. That's
kind of a full circle moment, right?
Yeah. So every place we operate, we first see the community, whether it's a school or the university or the business hub. It's first we see the community and what value we can give to this community. And
but that also speaks a lot about yourself and your values, to be able to assess something and look at it as, does this align with me? Over, oh, this is another opportunity. No, I think you've always struck me in the time that I've known you as someone who likes to work with things that align with you and your values and your morals. And I think it's an amazing thing to do in business. Like, it's hard because a lot of people don't get that opportunity,
I believe in that. If you take upon yourself a commitment or an opportunity, you need to give your best. 110%, not even 100, right?
Yeah.
This is the only way to succeed. You need really to give your best. Otherwise, it won't work.
So what's next for Iris and for Saboris? I mean, I'm sure this is your fourth career move for now, but there might be something else on the side cooking or, growing over there that you're maybe willing to share with us?
I think the next step is to expand on what we have built so far. I'm very proud of what we do today at Saboris. About the quality of lunches we offer, whether it's school or at the university. We also work at MUC, at the pool. So expanding this to more communities.
Can you tell me a bit more about the choices in the ingredients and the sourcing of the ingredients that you in Saboris do?
So our philosophy is that everything has to be fresh, made daily from locally sourced ingredients. This is very important. We work with many providers. Yes, it might be a headache, but to me it's very important that we source everything locally. We do minimum process we don't fry, so it's not damaging the nutritional value of the food, or minimum damaging nutritional.
Keeping like the nutritional value of the food as whole as possible.
Exactly. Not overcooking it and overdoing it. So, and it's using as much as possible vegetables, lentils, beans, which we are very grateful that we live in Spain. We live in such a fantastic place.
For those of you who don't know, Iris is always around here and there, so feel free to pull her in for a chat if you want to know more. She's always here at the pool. And thank you again for listening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with me. And again, if anyone has any ideas, please please come to speak.
You heard it from herself.